and welcome to our lesson number 2 on asking questions in English, how to sound more natural. I'm Gabby, and today we're going over the function, the use of action and auxiliary verbs in questions. So let's take a look at the formula for making questions, for asking questions using the simple tenses. And you see how the auxiliary verbs are always anticipating the subject in questions. Yeah, the most important is that you ask the question using auxiliary verb, subject, the person, and the action verb. Okay, you can include a complement for the verb, you can include a WH question, but the most essential is this basic structure. Auxiliary verb, person, action verb. So let's take a look on some of the combinations that we can make. Will you grab a beer? Can you repeat that example? Repeat after me. Will you grab a beer? So this is one example of how we use the auxiliary verb for a simple tense. In this case, it's future simple, but you can create more combinations. And in the exercises that you will find linked in the description of this video, you will be able to practice how to make the questions using this formula, using this structure. How does your mother make pasta for dinner? How does she do that? Repeat this example, please. How does your mother make pasta for dinner? And then, because I asked how, you will give me that information. You will explain to me, she makes the pasta beforehand and she reserves it for later on at night. She cooks dinner and etc. So you are going to give me more information if I include a WH question like where, why, when, how, who, what, etc. And I want to create a question about the past. For example, did you see the dentist? Repeat after me. Did you see the dentist last week? Your turn. Don't forget last week. Did you see the dentist last week? Repeat. Okay, great. So you see how the auxiliary verbs are always in this position, anticipating the subject, and after that you include the action verb. Guys, this is the correct way of asking a question. We are going to understand why sometimes, I promise, we are going to get to some examples of real life, why sometimes people forget about the auxiliary verbs in English. Is it a mistake? Is it on purpose? Can I make this mistake on purpose too? Will I sound cool if I do that? I'm going to answer all of those questions, but not today, not in this lesson. Keep following this course, throughout this course, you are going to have these questions answered, I promise. You see, the auxiliary verb of perfect tenses in general is the verb have. In the perfect tenses, it works as the auxiliary verb. In the third person, has, so have or has, it's present perfect, and past perfect auxiliary is had. Also, pay attention to the action verb form. In the perfect tenses, it's the participle form, which means it's the third column of the verbs. If you're not yet familiar with this, don't worry. We're not going to go so much into the perfect tenses, but it's just for you to know that this is the way it is, that this exists, and the auxiliary verbs of present and past perfect tenses are disposed in the same way in questions, always before the subject. Let's imagine an example for that. Has your sister learned Japanese? Has your sister learned Japanese? Let's include why. Why has your sister learned Japanese? Can you repeat that? Why? One more time. Why has your sister learned Japanese? Oh, she has learned Japanese because she loves the language. She's a fan of Naruto, I don't know. All right, so this is this is how the auxiliary verbs work in present and past perfect tenses. Now, one thing that is very interesting, and you will see this here, is that in the future perfect tense, you have double auxiliaries. Yeah, you have two different auxiliary verbs. You have will and have. Will is the future, and have is the perfect. So future perfect tenses, they combine the two auxiliary verbs. But the most important is will. Yeah, this is the one you will use in negatives and affirmatives to answer the questions you create. So think about the future perfect just to illustrate. Yeah, the future perfect expresses the actions that will be finished in the future. When will you have seen the dentist? Repeat after me. When will you have seen the dentist? Your turn. Excellent. Oh, I will have seen my dentist only next month, only by the end of next month. All right, so this is the formula for future perfect tense. In this case, it's a little bit peculiar because you have two auxiliary verbs, but the most important one, which is will, is also anticipating the subject. In the next lesson tomorrow, I'm going to tell you why this is not correct and what is the correct way to make negatives using the auxiliary verbs in English. You cannot forget about the auxiliary verbs in the negatives, guys. You can see these examples just using not alone are problematic. They are incorrect. I not understand this. Incorrect. But I'm going to go over these examples in our next lesson tomorrow. Make sure to download the material. In the description of this video, you will find the link for it and also for the exercises. Do them. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below in this video. I'll make sure to reply to all of your comments. If you have any doubts, please let us know. And make sure that you activate the notifications and subscribe to our channel. Please give this video a thumbs up so we can spread this content to more people. Set the reminder for tomorrow's video. I'll see you next time.